Here's this week's Smart Money Sundays episode. I'm going to be going over, I think, five pairs and mainly, not mainly the majors, but I'm going to cover the majors. And then I'm going to talk about gold just because it's interesting to me. I just kind of picked what I liked. So I'm going to get straight into it. Now, we're going to start on NTDJPY. So a lot of people, I'm sure, were trying to sell it off of this up close candle here. I talked about that. I said that people were probably going to try to make a play off this and that it's going to do one of these where it'll react and then make what retail traders call W pattern. So W pattern and then push back up. So now if we break this structure, I think we should be good to continue long. And one of the other things that I was looking at, so we had a lot of people probably selling this. The retest is right there. You guys can see that. So I think the general bias for retail traders is probably short, but just understanding smart money, we can see that this is definitely, in my opinion, it's not done going up. It's just been in an uptrend. There's no reason for us to try to short this thing. So now looking at a couple other things, we had these lows right here, right? So we had a singular wick low. This happens all the time, guys. You'll see it so often. Singular wick low, swept out, right? So after we sweep singular wick lows, we typically have a run to the opposite or in the opposite direction. So we sweep this low and then we start pushing up. We perfectly filled this imbalance and came into this candle. This is a doji candle right here. So not only did we do that, but this last down close we have now traded into and we're pushing up from that. So that's why I think that we're probably going to head up. If we go to the lower time frames like the 4 hour, you can see that, or at least in my opinion, if we were really going to go short, we would have went because this was a really clean doji candle right here that we traded into. We pushed down, and then after pushing down from that, we came into that daily down close and then started rebounding. So I honestly think that we are going to head up. It's a bit tricky again, just because we haven't really broken structure yet. And the structure that we have within here also is pretty minor. We didn't have any extreme pullbacks. So you can see it was looking like this. And then this is the last lower high that made this lower low. We didn't trade above that here, but we did fail to make a lower low. And we traded into that daily candle. We also traded into this little region right here. So we traded into this and now we're pushing back up. So I honestly think that this is going to continue and I'm going to be looking for longs. If it decides to go short, it'll probably at least come up into here because this is the last up close candle that swept all this liquidity here. Looking at AUD CAD, this is a higher time frame perspective. Not necessarily on the weekly. I think the cleanest was on the 2-day. So 2-day time frame. You can see we have this down close candle, right, that we have not yet mitigated. So down close candle here that we haven't mitigated. And then we also have this right here, right? So what did I just say? When we get these singular wick lows, if we sweep them, we react very strongly from them. So, and it's looking like we're about to take this. Now, looking here, you can see the structure. This is very clear structure. So we have inefficiency in the market, right, down here as well, winding up with this took a lot of liquidity. So we have kind of a head and shoulders, but that's not what I'm focusing on. What I'm focusing on is this. This looks really good to me. So I'm going to move this fib back over here so you can see where I pulled it from. So I pulled this fib from this high to this low, right? And then we got a retracement back up into the 50% right in there. You guys can see that, right? So 50%, also this right here. So this doji candle traded into that, traded into the 50% of the fib. And then when we got around the negative 27, we started consolidating and chopping, right? So we have yet to break structure to the upside, but what I'm thinking is the negative 61.8 of this move, and this move was kind of validated for me by the fact that we traded into the 50%. So this was a legitimate pullback in the market. And now I think that we're going to meet this negative 61.8. It lines up with 9190, lines up with this level in here. And this is just a general point of interest in the market. So I'm really eyeing this. I'm tempted to just buy it when it gets into here and take a swing trade up into this candle right here. This is really clean. So this candle right here is what I'm looking at. Let me get rid of some of this stuff, get rid of this in the fib. So that's what I'm looking at. So if you were to do that, just a very basic trade idea with no refinement. I always refine my entry so I can get higher risk to rewards. So no refinement or anything, about a 1 to 3. It should just be, to be quite honest with you, it should just be a layup trade. I expect it to react off here quite strongly. And then if you look here, you can see that this fib puts us down into here, also puts us deeper into this level. So lines up with a 78.6 with this candle. So you could honestly buy it up and then short it off when it hits your TP here. That's kind of what I plan on doing. So moving on, Euro USD. I think Euro USD is going to go long, to be honest with you. It is a bit tricky just because we came into this area of price up here. So this was like the base of the drop. So we had a run up and then we had a base, then we dropped here, and then we did the same kind of thing. This could be forming a higher time frame distribution, but I'm thinking for now we're going to go long because we had these lows ran out with this wick right here. So we ran these lows out, and this was, yeah, November. So I distinctly remember this. It ran out these lows and just flew. So looking at that, I think that we swept liquidity. We actually traded right into the open of the 12-hour candle that took all this liquidity. So we traded right into the open of that. And if you pull up the line chart, which is what I do when I have difficulties determining if it's really a break of structure. So my perspective on this is, higher highs and higher lows, easy, right? So here, this is like counter trend structure, or you could have looked at it as failing to make a higher high, make a lower low. So if you, with that logic, you would have expected a test of this and a continuation down, which is what I think they got people with here. So people tried to sell. Now we've broken structure. We have an efficiency. So we don't have any, the sellers are stopped out. And now I think that we can buy it off of this doji candle here because this is what traded into the 12-hour candle right there that swept all the liquidity. And that's just like a simple, in my opinion, just a simple perspective. Like there's not much to it, which is why it's kind of tricky, but that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that it's going to come into this right here and then head up. And with this trend line, we're almost certainly going to get a reaction. Hopefully there's no manipulation, but Euro USD has just been following these trend lines like crazy. So this is just an additional confluence for me. I don't trade retail, but this does add to, or does make me more convinced that we are going to continue to the upside. So Euro USD, again, higher highs, higher lows. You can look at this as counter trend structure. We've not broken it. Inefficiency, trading into it, slowing down in price. So that's what I'm eyeing on Euro USD. And then GBP USD, I like this one a lot. Pretty sure this is the 12-hour time frame that I'm looking at this on. Yeah. So people were trying to buy it from a candle. I think it was somewhere in here. There was a candle that we reacted off of. Maybe it was this. We pushed up really, really strong. Had a really nice reaction, but we have these equal lows. We have this down close candle that we have not touched yet. And then we had the negative 27 lining up with this. So this Fibonacci, this is the leg I pulled it from. So lower highs, lower lows. If I drop down even more, you'll be able to see it. There's our structure. So this lower high made this lower low, and then we had this lower high, and now we made this lower low. So if we could pull back up into here, that would be ideal. 78% retracement, up close candle, or here, up close candle not tested yet, 61.8. Should see a push down from one of these levels right into this down here. So we'll probably wick past the negative 27 and then head back up. So initially shorting off, right? So my perspective on this is going up. going down, and then going back up. That's what I'm seeing on it because we're so insanely bullish, but we haven't met this 12-hour candle yet, and we have equal lows. And this is just a higher high right here. But we could just sweep these, technically not have a BOS at this level because this is structure, and then just continue up. So that's what I'm looking at on GU. Now, USD JPY, this should be pretty straightforward. We have a weekly candle that we have not traded into. We have the open of it. So the open of this weekly candle right here, I have not traded into it. Equal highs, dropping down. It's following structure. So this is my first point of interest. So we have imbalance. We have a sell to buy candle, right? That I think we're going to get a reaction from this, but if we don't, I'll be placing another limit here, right here, just because if I don't foresee this continuing short, or going short rather. We had this, 50% of this was mitigated here, sweeping this low, sweeping these lows, right? Huge selling candle, and then just buying it right back up. So the only question is, are we going to break below this before we do, or are we just going to continue? So that's why I'm looking at both. So this is my first point of interest. I'm going to look for a schematic down here. If it just goes through it, I'll buy it at 110.2. So 110.70, 110.2 psychological levels, both lining up, looking really nice. And I prefer this level down here because it would be a deeper retracement in the market and because we would be taking out a low. And also because I was looking at this level, I think about a week ago, and I just don't think that we're going to leave it. So that's why I'm looking at this down here more than I am up here. But in either case, we have 50% fib, 78% fib. So it lines up in both examples, I guess. So continuing on, I believe gold is the last thing I'm looking at. So I talked about gold going short from up here, and it has been. Had this huge up close candle that mitigated a 4-hour candle in here, and then we fell very strongly, made all these equal lows, right? So this is our retracement, then we started pushing down. Going to go to the 4 hour. So the 4 hour, this was distribution up in here. I was so mad at myself because I didn't place this. I wanted to see a distribution within here. So I didn't place this trade, but it made a double top and then just fell off the face of the earth. Now we have an efficiency here. We just took all these lows. If we can break above and come down and test, that would be ideal because this fib right here lines up, the 61.8 lines up with the last point of supply of this distribution schematic. So we have met on the higher time frame fib, we've met the 78% fib with this retracement. Now I'm looking for a retracement up into the 61.8 into here to test the LPSY. The negative 27 lines up with an efficiency, and the negative 61.8 lines up with 1650. And the higher time frame fib actually lines up perfectly with an efficiency and a sell to buy candle. So this is my higher time frame target. I could honestly see it coming from here, something like this, coming here, all the way up, and then back down to there. I would really like to see that. So again, buy it up and then sell it off. That's kind of the setup on a lot of these pairs. So anyway, that is it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please message us. Happy 4th of July. And yeah, we will talk to you all in our next episode. Bye, guys.